Hey, thanks for tuning in. Today we're starting our video series on the 5 steps to pulling comps like a pro. This first video is all about dominant features. How do you understand what they are? How do you find them? And how do they affect value? Next up, stay tuned. The first thing we want to talk about is dominant features. The dominant features of a home are unique to what makes it special or what makes people pay more or less for the home. So we're going to dive right into that. What are the dominant features of a property? They can be these things or more: location, site size, style, age, room count, gross living area, basement square footage, garage, condition, and quality. So you might be asking yourself, which features should I focus on? Well, that's a good question. I would say the first thing you should do is ask yourself these questions. What is the first thing you or a buyer notices about the property when they first step onto the property, or they first look at an MLS listing or a Zillow listing? They say, wow, that's really cool. I never really thought about that. Or, well, that's really close to the water, or that's really big outbuilding, or whatever it is that makes it unique. That's the first question you should ask yourself, because that's probably a dominant feature. What makes the property different from those around it? That can be anything. If you're in a cookie cutter neighborhood, it could be age, it could be condition, it could be renovations, anything. What about the property would drive someone to pay less or more for it? So I think if you ask these 3 questions to yourself, it should at least get the ball rolling on what dominant features look like and where you should start when you're looking at dominant features. One thing you might ask is, are they always positive? Not necessarily. Sometimes dominant features can be negative attributes that a property has. So the condition, what if there's a bunch of deferred maintenance? What if the homeowner really hasn't taken care of the home? That could be a negative factor on as a dominant feature, and negative factor on value. Have there been renovations or remodeling? Those things can come into effect. Quality. Custom quality items, maybe it has some really cool features and the quality is just top notch. What if they're really low quality items? You might say, what are those? It could be low quality flooring, low quality general construction. What if it's a mobile home, or if it has ceiling tiles instead of sheetrock or something like that? So those are all your low quality items you might want to consider. Other negative things, or could be positive, how close are you to a sinkhole, to a floodplain, power station, a busy road, railroad tracks? Things to consider there are horn sounding zones or buffers like trees or other properties or improvements that could potentially buffer the sound between you and the railroad tracks. Commercial property could be anything, could be retail space, could be a gas station. Access to highways, this could be positive or negative. If you live in the rural areas and you want to not drive down a bunch of gravel roads or dirt roads to get to the highway, if you're close to the highway, that could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing if you're next to the highway and you get a lot of road noise. So paved roads, city amenities, that's anything, kind of how close you are to all those things are also a big factor into proximity. All right, next up, we're going to go through some MLS listings together so that we can identify some of these dominant features that we're talking about. This first one I pulled is a unique property for a couple reasons. The first reason would be just by looking at the picture, you might see it has some, looks like maybe some log siding. So that could be unique. I don't think it's a true log home. It looks like it's just log siding. But it also has just a traditional look to it, nothing other unique on the outside of it, other than it's a story and a half. So that could come into play. You may want to have another story and a half comp to compare it to. Above grade square footage is 3947. That could be relatively large for the area. Could be small. The lot size is 5.5 acres. So we would definitely want to find some comps that have similar acreage. Somewhere in the 4 to 6 range would be ideal if you could. Total bedroom count, it has 4 bedrooms, so that would be something we'd want to look at. It also says, if you read the marketing remarks, it's a lakefront property. So that proximity to the lake could be a huge driving force for land value and site value. So also it could be the view. If you can see the lake property from, or see the lake from the property, then that could help the view and overall value of the land. So these are some dominant features that you can just notice right away. This probably comes pretty natural to you. I think if you've been in the business for any amount of time at all, you probably have gotten some of this out of it already. So we're just kind of quickly going through these. Let's go to the next one. This next one actually is in a similar area to the other one, but I brought it up because obviously its style is a little bit unique. It's kind of more modern farmhouse. It has some decent quality or some higher quality finishes. You can tell with the windows and the transom windows, the double front door. The roof pitch is relatively steep, those sorts of things. Also, it has the acreage, gross living area, 3159. It has a total of 5 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. Also, one thing here is the age of the home. You wouldn't want to compare this to a 1970s home. You'd want to find homes that are similar to it, 2022, 2023, 2021, those kind of things would help you find some comps that really line up with this one. This one's unique. You can tell by the retaining walls on the sides that it's probably an earth berm, or at least partially bermed. Also has kind of a modern styling to it, almost mid-century modern. So those features could really drive the value and maybe even limit a buyer pool potentially. Again, on acreage, above grade square footage, it says 1785, even though it's really below grade, but that's the way it's listed here. Total of 2 bedrooms. So not having 3 or 4 bedrooms, you would definitely want to find another earth berm for one, but also another comparable sale that maybe has 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, and then maybe one that has 3. So you can kind of bracket all that. We'll talk about bracketing in the next video though. This one was unique because obviously it has the log siding again, but it's also a manufactured home. So you would want to find other manufactured homes to compare this to. It is a relatively large one at 1,800 square feet, and it's on 10 acres. So that's pretty unique. It's a newer one with 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. Those are all things that really stand out. Also, if you read in the marketing remarks, we have a 30 by 40 outbuilding on the property, so that definitely helps. One other thing is, a lot of times when I see home selling as is, that could indicate maybe there's some deferred maintenance that we might want to consider. So I would start cycling through all the photos, call the agent, see if there's anything I can't tell what's going on there, and hopefully we can make some good judgment calls as to the overall condition of the property. So those are some of the dominant features of this one. Now that you understand dominant features and how they impact value, the next thing we're going to talk about is adjustment guidelines and bracketing within the appraisal.